McLaren is doing everything possible to make this championship harder for itself. Just when it looked like Max Verstappen was out of the title picture, he gets dropped right back in because of a double McLaren disqualification for plank wear. Suddenly, Max Verstappen is tied with Piastri and only 24 points behind Norris. And while all of that chaos was unfolding after the Las Vegas Grand Prix, Aston Martin quietly dropped an absolute bombshell of their own, announcing that their CEO and team principal Andy Cowell would be stepping down, right as the team is gearing up for what they hope will be a title push in 2026. So what exactly happened to McLaren, and what in the world is going on at Aston Martin? McLaren being hit with a double disqualification is the kind of thing you'd expect to see out of Ferrari, and of course we did see that out of Ferrari in China of this year. But honestly, saying that, McLaren has had their share of clown moments this season too, between the countless papaya rules incidents and now this, a very avoidable error and one that shouldn't be made when the championship is this close. The team blamed the lack of practice data due to the disrupted sessions, but no other team made this mistake. When margins in the championship are this razor thin, they needed to play it safe, and they chose to be more aggressive, probably because they haven't been super competitive in Vegas in recent years, and the consequences for being more aggressive were absolutely brutal. At the end of the race, Lando Norris was losing time hand over fist, and now it kind of makes sense what was going on. He was told to lift and coast massively. Officially, it was coded by the team over the radio as saving fuel, but now we know what they were really doing, trying desperately to keep the plank from wearing down beyond the legal limit. Lifting and coasting means reducing the top speed at the end of the straights, which means the floor would scrape less on the ground and not wear the plank as much, but it was way too late. The regulations surrounding the plank area are absolute. There's no negotiation, there's no gray area. The minimum thickness is 9 millimeters, and the McLarens came in as low as 8.96, which are absolutely tiny margins, but they had absolutely massive ramifications. And this certainly hurts both drivers, but the damage to Piastri is really enormous. Already he was 24 points down with 3 races left. Now he has 2 races left and still 24 points down. And now Verstappen is suddenly right beside him in the championship. Norris isn't exactly safe either though. Yes, he still has a 24-point gap over both teammates and Max Verstappen, and all he needs to do is outscore them next weekend by 2 points to clinch it, but even that feels far from guaranteed with how the season is going. Somehow just when Verstappen looks to be completely out of the title picture, he's right back in the hunt. And honestly, if the Mexico and Brazilian Grand Prix had gone a little better for Max Verstappen and Red Bull, Verstappen could very well be knocking on the championship door even more than he already is. So that bombshell double disqualification from McLaren was really taking up the majority of the headlines, but just underneath the surface there was some other massive news coming out of Aston Martin, and that's them announcing a big shakeup with Andy Cowell stepping down as CEO and team principal. That was quite the shock because they've undergone 3 major management restructures right as they're needing stability for their 2026 project. A while back, they of course landed Adrian Newey, Andy Cowell, and Enrico Cardile, which were absolutely massive signings for that team. But then just earlier this month in November, we saw another technical shakeup. Aerodynamics director Eric Blandon and chief designer Akio Haga left, along with several other structural changes. And now another absolutely massive shakeup, with Andy Cowell stepping down from CEO and team principal to focus exclusively on the power unit program with Honda. Rumor has it that Cowell and Newey clashed on direction and opinions, and this is now Newey stamping his authority on the team, given he is a managing partner. There are 2 ways to look at this most recent restructuring at Aston Martin. If we're looking at it from an optimistic point of view, this is really Adrian Newey shaping the team exactly how he wants, given he's a managing partner, and I think we can trust Newey to put together a good team, and all of this could pay off down the line. And honestly, Andy Cowell's specialty was always with the power units. That's what he did at Mercedes and helped bring them to many championships. If we're looking at it from a realistic point of view though, all of these changes right before the new regulations could spell some short-term pain for Aston Martin. Success in Formula One and success with brand new rule sets typically require continuity and consistency, and Aston Martin doesn't seem to be carrying that right now. So who could potentially replace Andy Cowell as CEO and team principal? First, it's actually Christian Horner, surprisingly enough. He's already been heavily linked with the Aston Martin project. It's a bit surprising because some suggest that Newey actually left Red Bull because of some of Horner's controversies, and it'd be kind of wild to see them reunite again. But if this does happen, Newey, Horner and the money behind Stroll, that is a terrifying combination. Another major name being linked to that role is Andreas Seidel, former McLaren team principal and recent Audi CEO. Honestly, he hasn't had the most convincing recent track record. McLaren didn't go back to glory under him. His stint at Audi didn't last particularly long, and nothing about his recent history really screams championship leader. However, sometimes it's more about fit and culture in Formula One than necessarily raw talent. Lastly, maybe most surprising to me, the name that's also being linked is Mattia Binotto. He's currently Audi CEO, and all of it kind of feels a little strange to me. He hasn't been at Audi particularly long, and he already holds significant power in that role. So far, it sounds like it's been a positive signing from within the team and outside in the F1 paddock, but the CEO position at a team built to immediately fight for wins might be a tempting upgrade for him rather than a long-term project like Audi. I'm genuinely surprised that Andy Cowell didn't work out in that role, and none of these rumored replacements come without some question marks over them. Horner has lots of baggage, Seidel is maybe a little unproven in recent history, and Binotto is already in a strong leadership role in what is about to be a massive works team. Aston Martin wants to win big, but they're making that road pretty chaotic at the moment. So with just 2 races to go, the championship is still very much wide open. McLaren stumbled, Red Bull was doubly rewarded with a win, and then even more points from that McLaren disqualification, and now we have Aston Martin continuing to rewrite itself mid-season. If this is how the season is going to end, then I think we'll be in for a wild last 2 rounds. What did you think of the Las Vegas Grand Prix, and what did you think of that double disqualification from McLaren? What does this mean for the championship, and how do you feel about these continued changes at Aston Martin? I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. While you're there, give the video a quick like and hit that subscribe button to see more F1 content. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.